I'm making a recording so we can have it for all time. And I'm so excited to see you guys. Hello. Besides not getting to see each other next week in real life, I'm happy to see you here through Zoom land. And it's been a while, and we thought it'd be so fun to have a happy hour and kick back and have a good time together. And then like none of us are really drinking, are we? Like we still got stuff to do. Oh, well, Timmy is. Okay.
Out of water.
I love it. Well, there's Jess. Okay,
So I am drinking, just not adult beverage.
Yeah, well, all right. So here's the deal. I am Jennie Wolek, and so happy to see all of my friends here and those of you that are here in Zoom land with us. If you have any questions or comments along the way, we just wanted to get together and chat because we hadn't done that in a while. And I'm just going to let everybody introduce themselves. And why don't you guys say where you're from, how you're doing, what's going on? Oh, Jess has got one. See, you guys at 5 o'clock. That makes sense. We're not 5 o'clock quite yet. Say who you, I mean, it's true.
Really?
I was like, really? That stops you?
Yeah, I'm a dork. Okay, so let's see. So you guys say who you are, what's going on. And I think today will mainly be about database because we know that it is our business and our business is our database. So maybe even touch on how much of your business comes from your database. So let's have Tony, let's have you kick off this show for us.
All right. Tony Baroni, Tampa Bay, Florida. We have an expansion office in Orlando, Florida as well. And we are doing well. You know, we're doing well. As you guys have seen, Florida's on the news a lot lately with COVID specific cases in school districts. So it's an interesting time indeed. And real estate market's still crazy, less than 1 month of inventory here. And, you know, that makes it a pretty crazy market. Our team's on pace to do just over 400 units this year, and for somewhere in 125, 150 million range. So we're pumped. We had a record month last month. I think we're gonna have a record month this month, and a lot of it has to do with the topic today. So I'm excited to get into database and relationships.
Well, Tony, go ahead and hop in the chat because I see Erica's got a referral for you. So there you go. Hey, Tim, why don't you go next?
Hey, everyone. Tim Houck, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We also service New Orleans. Been in the business for 15 years. We're right at 200 closed and pending for the year for around 53 million. Percentage of that, I venture to say, is hovering around 65%. 65%. Traditionally, we've hovered anywhere from 60 to 70, which borderline in my mind is like one part to celebrate. The other part is where do we have room for growth? But so thrilled about how much of our business comes from our sphere, past clients, referral sources. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Jess, what you got?
Jess Starr in Connecticut, and it's our best year yet, so we're not quite those numbers, boys, but we have a 12-person team, and we are at 170, it'll be 170 by day's end, units pending and closed, and we're at 55 million in sales pending and closed. So that's pretty decent.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Josh.
Hey guys, sorry, I was chuckling because Tim, did you seriously put that as your name?
I did.
Okay. Awesome.
You saw the old one, Tim.
Baton Rouge and Josh's boss. We'll see about that. Josh Anderson. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't even know what are we? Well, really? 70 to 75% of our business every year is referral from our database. So either that's a combination of past clients, mainly past clients, and agent referrals. That's probably the two biggest pieces of our database. And I'm kind of like Tim. Part of me loves that 70 to 75% of our business is database. And then part of me also says that puts a lot of my DNA in the business. And think it could stand to go down. I think as you go up on unit count, I think it probably has to go. So we did 255 transactions last year. And I just think at some point the percentage has to go down if you want to go up. But I'll also say that partly a function of the market and partly being very purposeful about like driving our prices over the years helps from a database and sphere perspective versus like some of the internet leads that probably skew our average down more than our sphere stuff does. So.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Jennie Wolek in Tulsa, and we have a 10-person team, I think, today. And I
was like counted. I was like,
I had to literally just write them all down, do the math. And that's not including me, because I'm really not helping so much with buyers and sellers anymore. And I see my clients these days as my team, like pouring into them and growing them and engaging them. And so I just looked at our numbers, and we are at 139 closed and pending year to date. Also our best year. Like I know you guys are having outstanding years. That is putting us at 1 point over 1 million, just barely year to date in GCI, and about 40 in volume, which is super cool. You guys remember when we first started hanging out and I hadn't even broken 100? And yeah. So it's pretty fun. You know, who you hang out with matters, right, guys? I get to grow and be awesome like you guys. So I'm with the guys too. I mean, 50% of our business year over year is always coming from our local database, either past client, a sphere referral, or repeat or what else, or just our sphere in general. And I mean, I hear what you're saying, Josh, about your DNA in it. And like our agents are really encouraged to grow their own database and to nurture their own people. Of course, we all would like our teams to do that. But the other piece that I love and with too is that 30% of our business come from agent referrals. I know you guys are all very heavy in agent referrals as well. And that's a database. So if you guys really added those together, I mean, that would put us at 80% of our business. So we want to be always finding additional sources and still though tracking where our sources of business are coming from and focusing on those first, which really gets us to today's topic is next week I get to do a session with James Shaw, and they named the session, we've already recorded it, Gamify the Database. And I'm like, ooh, what's this gamify? I don't even know what that is. I'm going to have to go learn up on what gamifying means before I teach this class. And it's a trick, you guys. It's all the 4 laws of lead generation. Nothing has changed. There's no silver bullet. There's no magic pill. You gotta still build your database. You've got to feed it. You've got to market to it. And then you get to service all the leads that come your way. So let's talk about that. Tony, I'm going to kick it off with you. You're doing the most head nodding there. So where do you really feel like as you've grown, let's just take over the past couple years, we have a different world now. And you got to pivot and shift and change all your moves and ways of doing things. So what is it looking like for you guys today versus, a couple years ago?
Yeah, for us, it was a lot of client parties. I think all of us on here had that in common. And, we've shifted to really giveaways, right? So we have everyone call in on a day, the call in to win. I know we all know that. And we've just continued that, and it's getting a lot of success. We just had another one. We had 207 people call in. It generated 16 referrals, and it's creating a lot of local buzz. So that's kind of the stuff I was going to talk to today about. Was really we have really not been a team that's farmed before, and we've added that in, and now it's really just we're adding farming to all of that, and then we're sponsoring. So for example, my kids, everything they're involved with, even schools in the area that we're not involved with, we're sponsoring. And we have banners at the baseball fields. We have the schools in front of the schools. We're getting local people. I learned from you, Jennie, how to go out and meet new people in the community, feature them in our newsletter, and do interviews with them. So we're kind of adding all of that, and what I've seen so far is very, very powerful. So like the giveaways. We have a local paper called the Osprey Observer, and we kind of went all in with them. And they spread the good news is kind of their title of what they say. So I don't know if I'd ever think that I would go to print a whole lot in the future, but now I've kind of changed my philosophy as far as hyper local, and they serve 5 different papers locally to our area, and they're really popular. So people are really connected to that newspaper specifically. They also have a great online presence. So we've been working that, and the results have been really cool. We added our giveaways in there, which has gotten tons of people that didn't know who we were. So it kind of started as market to our people, right? Our past clients. Then it became market to people we know that aren't in our database because haven't got them in the database, and we got them to call in. And here we are, a year and a half later, where we're getting a lot more business from people we know that maybe didn't know us from a base, they maybe thought I was Coach Tony from baseball versus Real Estate Tony. And now that's converting into a lot of business where we're helping a lot more people. So, and it's all cool because it's all relationship based and it keeps growing. So one metric we're tracking now, Jenny, is how many new people call into the giveaway. And out of the 207 last time, we had about half of them were brand new. So we're excited about what that's going to look like in the future, giving away really cool things. And we've got the future ones for the rest of the year. So it's
Hey,
been,
Jenny,
fun.
I've got a question for you. What, I don't know, like whether it's a scale of 1 to 10 or what, like as much as you guys do with your database, do you think that y'all are doing like a really high level on your database?
Here's what I say. Let's say our neighbor lists their house and a sign goes up. Okay.
Mhm.
Our team would maybe say, well, they'd get upset about that. Like, I'm mad about that, right? I can't believe they didn't go through me. Well, my philosophy is very simple. It's our job to put marketing in front of them to at least be in the conversation. There's always people that are loyal to the client, loyal to their agent, which I respect 100%. But for now, basically why I feel really, really good going forward, Josh, is all these people are getting our stuff, right? They're going to get 5 newsletters a year from us. They're going to get it emailed. We're really doing a lot better job, I think, staying in touch with them. So we won't be forgotten, and hopefully we'll be in the mix for an interview.
So where I was kind of going with that is I think no matter how good you're doing on your database, like I think that we're similar to you guys, but no matter how good we do, you're never really at a 10. And then you're like constantly one-upping and seeing. So like Tim presented this like a week ago, page 137 in MREA book. And it's kind of this target, with your kind of top 25 in the middle and your mets and unmets or haven't mets as it gets bigger. And I think we do a really good job in the community. Like we're doing a movie in early October, and it's really for our clients, but it's also it's going to be completely open to the general public to build our database. And the first 50 people that RSVP get like these outdoor blankets and, whatever. But I guess where I think a lot of people struggle with where to start on this whole database thing. And it's really overwhelming. And I think you have to chunk it down into like teeny tiny pieces of like down to not even a zip code, maybe like a neighborhood in the zip code. But I think we're all doing pretty well on our database, and we're still like not even scratching the surface on what we could be doing. And so I think that's for everybody. That was maybe a little bit of a trick question of like, I just think that people get overwhelmed with this, and I think you just start teeny tiny small on.
I feel like it would look like this. Whenever you're brand new, you start really small because you've got your sphere, your fans, your cheerleaders, your friends who want you to win. And then it grows to some Mets. So you may not be BFFs, but you've met in some fashion. And then you get to where you're.
Is that why they're called Mets? or
And then you're growing into, people get confused, Josh. And then you get into like the bigger world, like Tony has gotten. So Tony was doing these and so that this happened with us too, Tony, when we were doing all these giveaways and we were getting all these new people that were now a part of our world and they got added to our database. And I'm like, but wait, time out. They don't know us. If we just start marketing to them without any kind of like introduction, hey, here's who we are and why you're hearing from us. I mean, so we put in place a new contact action plan, which really, guys, goes exactly to page 143 of MREA, although updated now to be a little different, which was the original 8x8, meaning, hey, now we're friends and here's why we're in relationship and here's why in the future, if you ever need any help, you should think of us. But what I heard Tony say in light of all of that is like, he didn't start with mass marketing and paying for ads at the baseball games. You started by being a coach and a dad and having relationships. And your purpose in life, Tony, is to be a great dad and be there for your kids. So your passion has grown to now include people. And so like you earned the right to go and to have the money to spend and to have the marketing budget, right?
Sure. Yeah. And I think of, what Josh just said and you, I mean, it started, the very first thing I did for anyone new, I joined a softball team and I was playing softball, I was meeting new people. And over the next 3 years, I literally sold a house to every single person on my team when I first started in real estate, right? So I think we overcomplicate things and you just got to tie it with things you love to do. And then people will, by the way, my goal is not to talk about real estate ever, literally ever. So I never talk about it to people, but then they'll start naturally asking me questions. And when they do, that's when okay, this is awesome because they're turning to me out of all people, asking me a real estate question. Then you have the opportunity to do more. I had recently a person that they went on this whole story about my realtor put groceries in the fridge when we closed. They're the best. And that when I first met them, they told me that. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like to pull that off, that would be hard to do, right? Well, we grew our relationship over the next couple of months and he just sent me his brother. So what's that tell you? Like, just because they have a realtor doesn't mean they won't send you business, right? So
Yes.
Try to continue to build relationships, and we're going to help his brother move here now, which is really, really cool. I thought that was kind of a big aha for me. Like, you just never shut off a relationship. You still try to add value. And most agents, I think, would be, oh, he has an agent, I'm not going to spend time. But I mean,
Never know.
that's a very shallow way to look at it.
I agree. I got to piggyback on that. It happened today. I'm in my database. Here comes a name. Haven't talked to him in a while. Feeling a little apprehensive about, do I make the call? Look up in MLS. His house sold in February.
Out.
Right.
Made the call anyway. Accidentally dialed his wife, who they got a divorce. Had a 20-minute conversation with the wife. She's awesome. Got to chat and she's texting me pictures. She's going to need to buy. Anyway, long story short, is we have sometimes, assume like, that they're not going to work because we don't want to make those phone calls. Whose job is it to follow up? So again, NAR says 70% of people would work with you again if you just stayed in touch. And then every agent, most agents,
18%. That's in our class.
do not.
18% actually do.
Yeah.
You also don't know why, just like you made that point, you don't know why somebody chose not to work with you again. It could have been a personal reason. They could have had a family member, felt obligated, been through a divorce, were embarrassed about something, how they acted in the last transaction, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I had one similar to that, Tim. And I was a new agent. And I remember being so hurt. I went to high school with them. I showed them houses. They disappeared and they kind of just rented. And then all of a sudden I see on it's probably MySpace at the time. It was that long ago, that they bought a house. And I was like, are you kidding me? These guys, I was so mad. And of course, being emotional, I wanted to be like, let me defriend them. I didn't, but I still liked everything and was kind and whatever else. Well, years later, they reached out to me again. And when they did, they end up being like nomads and they buy or sell a house every 3 years and they've referred people like it's going out of style. So they never said why they went with somebody else. They never said they were mad at me. I think that person was just right place, right time. They probably walked into an open house and didn't think anything of it.
Well, that's what we have to remember is like they aren't sitting around thinking about us at all.
Nope.
They've got their lives going on, the kids, the school.
Get over yourself, right?
Yeah,
Get over yourself.
we gotta get over it. I'm with you, Tim. I just had I had a client, same thing happened to me. I look them up, they sold their house. I was like heartbroken and sad. And then he just referred his mom to us.
Yep.
I mean, like that. And then when I reached out and I said, thank you so much, he said, I just knew you would take such great care of my mom. Like that is what it's about. It's about helping people and getting our ego out of the way. And it's a numbers game. Y'all, we've been in the business a long time between
Yeah.
all of us and sell a lot of houses. And
Yep.
we know we got to have thick skin and move on. Really quick, I'll say one thing. Yara's asking about an 8x8. And honestly, ours is just a 4 touch. As soon as they get, because they called in, most likely, Yara, I know you've got this whole playbook on the call into wins. And so they call in, they confirm all their contact info, maybe before we just had their email because they were a web lead or some random source. So now we've got all their contact info. Now they get a new action plan assigned to them as a new Met, and if they share a referral too, then they get added as what we call a rock star, which is our in the middle allied resource. They're saying like, hey, we're letting you help our friends, even if they're throwing grandma under the bus, it's fine. We don't care. And we still want to reward them. So the touches are very simple. It's an email that is a nice little graphic, says, thanks so much. Welcome to our world. We look forward to hanging out and seeing you in the future. Always keep an eye out for fun events and giveaways. I have a phone call notification that I call, and my script is very simple. Hey, Jess, thanks so much for playing along with us on our Yeti giveaway. And, sorry I didn't win, but I still wanted to say thanks and looking forward to seeing you more. Make sure you like us on Facebook and check your email because we want to for sure have some fun and see you in the future. Sound good? And they're like, yeah, there's no selling of real estate. It's a hello, how are you? I'm Jenny. Great. And then they get a postcard in the mail that's really cute. And then another email on the 4th touch. So it doesn't matter what your touches are. It's just that you're kind of going, hey, here's who we are and why you're in our world now. And we look forward to having more fun in the future. So that's what ours looks like. You guys, anybody else having a new system or a new intro into our database kind of touch plan?
I'll just mention, we build our own newsletter, which Kelly really creates all of it, and every single one is getting better and better. But basically, that is our five touches a year, and then we email it. Obviously, we mail it, and that's been really, really good. A lot of traction. Now we're starting to, because we want to increase our mailers from just past clients. We want to start farming some areas. So now we're going out and getting sponsors so we can increase our mailing list. And I would just say, mailing's not dead. Like it works, and to get that on the giveaway, it's on the front page every time we send it out. It's an incredible amount of work, yet the payoff's pretty huge. And we do mail it 5 times a year, so for basically quarterly, and then we do a holiday one. Erica, she was asking, so we do a holiday edition, and that is going to be our biggest giveaway of the year. That's focused more around the holidays, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, or the holiday.
So I want to switch the topic a tiny bit. It is page 141 of the lead generation model, which is my favorite section. I've had this section tab for so long, y'all. This sticky note that used to be pink is not even pink anymore. So obviously this is what changed my business, is focusing on this. So I love it that on page 141, remember when Gary from the stage years ago started talking about the membership economy and you want people to opt in into your database and into your world? Well, it's actually all right here. Like he already lines out how you do that. It's called Allied Resource Referral Generating Program. You educate, you ask for help, and you reward them. So when you guys all play the same game, whenever someone shares a referral with you, you reward that behavior. And so the whole system is there. I just think it's beautifully done. Remember, I mean, many of us, like Liz, had written Perk Your Sphere, that 40-page book that is really just a system for your database of how you can get more engagement from them. So what are you guys doing to go like really, really hardcore on those raving fans?
Not everybody at once.
I'm writing.
I was like, I feel like Tony wants to say something.
I'll be quiet. I've been talking a lot, so
I'll
I'll let
start.
you
How
guys
about-
tell us something.
How about this? I mean, I'll start off with saying we do an okay job. And I was teaching a class and I had a realtor in there who called me out and said, hey, I didn't happen with me when I said you were a referral. And it was we had already talked about this. I mean, Allied Resources, dead center of it, right? We so focus on the outside, mass mailing, do these things, but grade your Allied Resources circle, 25 to 50 people. How strong is that circle? And so when I started looking at ours, I gave it, a scale of 1 to 10, about a 3. I mean, do we do good? But good is far from great. And so, we're rebuilding it. I think we were semi-systematic with, we were intentional about it, right? But we were far from perfect. It didn't happen every time. Some people got things mailed out to them. Some may have not. They may have got, and so, the intention was obviously educate, reward at the point of referral, at the point of contract, at the point of closing. That's how the system is designed. And yet we were not nailing that at a high level. So I would just stated what my intention was, and just that we have not been doing as good a job as I would like.
It's hard.
Well, that was my point earlier when I asked you, Tony, how you're doing with your database. It's like throwing stuff against the wall, but really, I mean, that's what a lot of us are doing, but it's really getting, so Gary posed this probably 6 years ago in his group. We were in Austin and he said, what if you could wake up on January 1 and your top 25 referral sources, you could guarantee that they sent you 3 closed deals per year. He's like, on January 1, you're doing 75 deals if you just don't mess up those 25 relationships. And then that's just your top 25. And then you have hundreds of other reviews and referrals and clients and all this stuff. And it's like, how can we get everybody, for the people that are listening, that are on a team or have a team or thinking about a team, it's like, how do we get everybody on our team to have a top 5 or a top 7? I don't think you can get everybody on your team to do a top 25 and expect 3, but can they have a top 7 list? And can they get 2 deals per year? That's 14 deals on January 1 that they know they're going to do that year for everybody on your team. If you challenged everybody on your team to do 2 or 3 deals from 5 to 7 people, and that would be
I think you're 100% right. I was thinking about that even with the events when we were talking about this before with a couple people. I said, we have huge events, and then some of them we have small and they're more intimate. And when we have the 25 to 30 people, we almost get more referrals. Sometimes we have more opportunity to make a closer connection, a deeper relationship. And that's what matters most. And those people become raving fans because of that. So if you took, your top 25, like you said, and you created a playbook and a marketing plan for the year for just those top 25, hey, I'm going to have 4 specialized client events, like concierge level. What does Disney do for their, people that are their top people, that are their vacation club members that do X, Y, and Z? What are those special things? So how do I make this an experience for them to keep doing it, and just know that they're the elite group that we trust the most?
And so historically we've done all this client events and giveaways, and we've kind of shifted more to these giveaways over the last 18 or 24 months. But the one thing that we've done that has been really good is it's a dinner for 50 people. So it's usually our top 25 plus 1. And, it's about a $10,000 or $12,000 dinner. It's at our house. It's it is unbelievable. If you've ever had a salad that was just picked 3 hours before you eat it, you know the difference of farm to table, true farm to table versus something out of a bag. But anyway, we spend a lot of money, but it's our top 25. They're doing business with us every year, and they're referring us 2 or 3 deals every year. And so if as a team, if you could say, all right, I'm the rainmaker or whatever you want to call yourself, and you could commit to top 25, and then everybody on your team commits to a top 5 and gets 2 deals from each of those. I mean, a lot of people on teams are only doing 24 to 36 deals ideally. So if they could get 10 or 12 or 14 deals just from 5 people, that's massive. in my opinion.
One
Just to
thing
keep those 5 relationships.
we invested in a client coordinator, Josh, to really dial back to your first question. Like we just brought another full-time person, and really that's part of her job. It's going to be agent referral gift, calling her database. She also is going to work like when our transaction coordinators clock out, she comes in and she works from like 2 to 9 o'clock, and she has a couple days off during the week. So she's working all weekend, just really with our model of, mega agents within our team, it just never stops, right? So that's the problem the challenge we're having now is how do we get that, some of the relief off when our person during the day clocks out, transaction coordinator, who can pick it up. And that's including our ISAs are already doing that. So, I think that is, hoping a year from now, I can say, that has solved a lot of our issues, although we don't know if that's going to work. And it's a very non-specific, it's very very general role versus we're very specific normally. So that's what we've done in the past 3 weeks. We hired a new person and they're going to fulfill hopefully a lot of the stuff that's hard to organize.
I think with a lot of these database, I think if you want to work this database thing at a super high level, it's like, you got to do it, but it's, it's the same thing I've said about, most teams have, or a lot of teams have these ISA departments. It's like, can you have like a concierge level ISA calling your past clients and loving on them, not to pawn it off, but to make it consistent across the board that they're always getting touched by somebody at the Anderson Group, just as a check-in, like, hey, just thinking about you. How's everything going? Do you need anything on your house? Can I, give whoever a message, type of thing. Same way with business development, same way with, there's just so many, I think with all these technologies being added into our industry and compression, I think we've got to figure out 4 calls a year isn't really enough from a value add perspective. And how are we sitting down and really thinking about adding value to our databases and to our teams? So Jenny, you said earlier, like your clients are your teammates, or however you said it, like basically you're the people you have to keep happy. Yeah. But so anyway, my point being that like we've got to figure out better ways, and everybody sees value differently. So like, how do you cater to 2,000 current and past clients and figure that out?
So yeah, what I want everyone to hear that watches this or is here with us is that even when you get to all these different levels, you're still working to figure stuff out. Like you never get to this I've arrived place. So like what happens is you hear that, oh, I'm supposed to talk to my people 4 times a year. And y'all raise your hand. Does that happen every year that everyone in your Met database gets a phone call from someone on your team? Does not happen. I want everyone to hear it. And Jordan is a coach of mine and others. And he said, hey guys, well, if you guys know Jordan, he cusses a lot. And so I will refrain from what he really said, but he said, F that. No one does that. So stop beating yourself up over not doing that and figure out other ways to have conversations with more people. So like,
well, I was just going to say, like, the ultimate goal for, I know all of us on here that are doing this and probably everybody that's listening. The ultimate goal in real estate would be that you don't have to prospect every day and make phone calls. The ultimate goal is like, they'll just call me automatically if they need me, which isn't probably going to happen. But I do think there's a lot of things that we can put in place, and like, being connected on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and making the phone calls and leaving voicemails and doing the text messages, and doing client events and giveaways and adding to, just building this big database. But how do we just continue adding value?
So
for some of our clients that are engineers, they might want the numbers. Like for somebody else that's a high I personality, they might not care about the numbers. They might want to go have a drink, or, like there's just so many different ways of
offer all the things. Now, another thing, Jordan, I'm a Jordan quoter, that he says is that agents are not call reluctant. they are
They're
value
value deficient.
deficient. And so like Yara's here asking a question about, do you ever find trouble getting your past client sphere, et cetera, to get more
course.
relationship with you? And heck yeah, you do. And that's where just adding different forms of value, like Josh was just saying, maybe it's a happy hour in person, maybe it's a click here for a free CMA if you're
I
curious
think
about value. It's all the things, right?
I think it's also, Yara, I think it's like a really easy conversation. If you truly wanted to know that, like just pick up the phone and call, let's just say 20 of your clients that you can ask a real question to and just say, hey, I want to be your realtor for life. And I want you to be able to refer me business. What would, in a perfect world, what would your ideal realtor be doing for you on a monthly, quarterly, yearly basis that you would feel compelled to send them business? Ask that to your top 25 friends and or clients. Shit, I mean, you can ask that to anybody. That's a
Well, I
great
learned that
question
from
to just
you.
know.
I learned that from you. I mean, why are we trying to assume what they want?
Just ask them.
I mean, that's like, you got to poll the audience. We got to like ask what would they, maybe give them a survey. Like, I think we did that one
part
time.
of your post-close too. Why
Yeah.
not make that part of your post-close checklist?
I would also,
survey too.
I would tell you, go ask 25 people that aren't your clients, because they aren't your clients. Go ask them, why do you stay in relationship with your realtor? Oh, and by the way, do you have a realtor? Can I be your realtor? Oh, you already have a realtor? Can I be your second place realtor?
Hey,
You know
this,
what question I
Can I
asked
be your
starting
good
out?
girlfriend when your first realtor fails?
Listen, the question that I asked the first 3 years in business, because I knew everybody had like 3 or 4 realtors, and it was like the whole, mind share. And I asked a couple of people, can I be your second place realtor? You know how many people say no to that question? 0. Everybody's like, I've never had that question asked before. Like,
Well, that
of
goes
course you
back
can.
to my story earlier. I mean, he said he loved his agent and he just referred me his brother, and I've known him for 45 days, right? So that's a huge question we should be asking people.
hey,
Yeah.
wait,
Can I
Well,
be
the
your,
problem
here's
you
the
guys-
deal. Can you
wait.
be a second place realtor means that you're automatic, like they're gonna screw up. Like it's just a matter of time.
So this goes back to all the fun giveaways that we learned about how engaged people are with those. Tony, I mean, how many times did you offer? I did it. I followed you. Remember the survey, answer these survey questions and you can win $100 Amazon gift card. And we had 78 people fill out this survey that just was telling us if they were thinking about moving or not moving. So you could do the same thing with taking the pulse of what they find value in and where they would get engaged. When we first kicked off our Rockstar group, we have a closed group. We had a survey in there and sent them a questionnaire, like, what do you want from us? So you want to have community engagement, community involvement, like what is the thing that you really care about? And that's where you're going to find out. I love that.
I think the thing that people don't think of that people want the most are vendors. They want recommendations of who you would recommend. So knowing early on, I knew there was no way I was going to be able to stay in touch with everyone 4 times a year. In my mind, I'm like, that's not going to happen, right? Because I was calling expireds every day when I started, right? So I didn't have time to call everyone that I sold a house to the year before. I was trying to find new business. So early on, I just started saying, and it's something I think anyone can do immediately, is build a vendor list. And when you're at closing or throughout the process, whether it's you or your team, train them to talk about what can I do for you? And then at the end with closing, and you got to give examples. So for example, do you want a pressure washer, a roofer? This is a script, pressure washer, roofer. I just named like 20 things. I want you to call me from now on. I'm going to be your Google. So anything you need, I want you to call me. And then you just get tons of calls just from that. And you almost program them to become their solution, right? For whatever they need. Sure. And then it really works, guys. Like it's worked for a long, long time for us. And all you have to do is ask.
And Tony, that's why
you became Angie, like Angie's List. I mean, just,
Well, yeah, and I've said
local-
that too. I want to be your Angie's List, right?
You
I want
tell
to be
them
your
that
Google.
every initial consult that you have with them, put it in the back of your buyer packet, put it in the back of your seller packet with your vendor list. Tell them that's why they can't
I've got a
lose
guy.
those packets.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I was
so
gonna-
that's one of the things, Tony, that like on our loyalty program, like that's the reason we created the loyalty program. That's the reason we did the concierge program. Sorry. And then I think another quick thing that I would say on the database, like I know we spend, this is just something because I think people get disconnected with their database. So you spend all this time trying to find a buyer or seller client, then you do a buyer consultation with them, and then you spend what, 90 days pretty intimately working with this person, maybe more, depending on your market. And it's great. And then you go to closing, and most agents, you know, they might check in 2 weeks after, and then they slowly fall off because like a year and a half from now, what the hell do you say to your database? Like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
And so I do that. I call all the time and text all the time and say, hey, you know, it's just a little white lie of like, hey, I was in your neighborhood. I've just made me think about you. I'm just checking in. But one of the things that I've had the team do, and I did it this week, of like, hey, you know what? I've done a crappy job of staying in touch with you, and just own it. Like, because then it's awkward if you're trying to call them and act like it. You've been doing a good job. So you just own the whole idea that you sucked at staying in touch, and I want to change that. And are you okay if I call you once a quarter? But if you say I'm going to call you once a quarter and you don't start calling them once a quarter,
Right.
then you're an idiot and you don't
That
deserve
gives-
the business.
That gives you some accountability. If you get their
Right.
permission and then
Right.
you don't do it, you are a jerk.
But the other piece is like these stay in touch scripts are just so simple. Like I got one of mine from my insurance guy. Corinna from his office literally calls me once a year, and she just says, hey, it's Corinna from Jay Norman's office. I was just calling to touch base and see how you're doing. This is just kind of your annual phone call. And I'm like, thanks so much for, I mean, she's got like the sweetest, nicest voice. And she's like, do you need anything? I'm like, nope, I'll call you if I do. It's literally a 15-second phone call, and it makes me happy the whole year. And it's that simple. I mean,
Well,
it's
because we
insurance, right?
appreciate it, right? It's like people that have
Right.
it together. So I think we get caught up on 4, and that's awesome. But if you can do once or twice, how powerful is that, right? And the
You
other
do
thing I
one
was going
text
to
and
add
one
that
phone
ties
call.
into this is the promise, because I know a lot of us do that, but we sign it up front now, right? So it's part of our required documentation. So it at least needs to be brought up, and we're planting that seed day one. And again, doing that January 2018 to now, we're getting a lot of business from it. So we're not only planting seeds for vendors, call us if you need a vendor, we're planting seeds for, hey, we want to earn your referrals. Hey, we want reviews from you. And hey, we want to be in relationships with you, right? So all of that combined is really a special sauce.
Well, Tony, something you do at a super high level, and I so appreciate it. And I just tell my team we want to be like Tony Baroni, is that
No, you don't.
is that at
You really
least
don't.
well, I know, I'm teasing.
Josh knows.
We're all amazing. And is the accountability with the weekly shout outs of how many reviews did you ask for? How many reviews did you get? And we have had the promise as part of our plan for years, like you. And this past few weeks of having that as shout outs as a team each week after the morning mojo, our reviews have gone up by, I mean, we got like 11 in the last month, and we had like 0 before, right? Oh, Jeff.
Yeah, us too. We have 100 more than Tony. It's pretty awesome.
Oh God, here we go.
It's actually
Okay.
102, but
I will not engage
counting?
in this conversation of nonsense.
Tony, I got a follow up to what you were saying. So I think that if you were to take the small circle and just say it was 50 people in the middle, and you do a line through it, and there's 25 on one side and there's 25 on the other. So 25 of those would be those A+ clients, right? I think the other 25 were vendors, the actual vendors.
Yeah.
And we talk about creating a reward system and training our vendors to send us referrals like, hey, you're going to be my guy for the year. And I know a lot of people have people sign like a covenant, like, hey, you're going to be my person this year. You'll be my pressure washer. All I ask is that while you're out on pressure washing houses, you bring up, why are you pressure washing home? And if real estate comes up, just drop her name. And our expectation is you send us 1 referral per year.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people intend to do that, right? And we flounder a little bit. And so when we were talking about this last week, a week before, something jumped out to me, and I think it's because I was talking to you, Tony, and I know you're a B&I guy. If we take that circle, that's that small circle, and treat that half of the circle and treat it like a B&I group. What is the first rule of the first core value of B&I, Tony?
Giver's gain, baby.
Giver's gain. How well do we send referrals to them? How well do we send referrals to our database? What if you had a database of 100 and it was, every one of those were tagged with their job, attorney, veterinarian, whatever, motorcycle salesman, right? And you were so focused on driving referrals to your database, we were intentional about it. Would you say that we'd have to spend any money on marketing?
No,
Well,
and that's something that I've run over these past years and you guys do as well, is the going out in the community, or over this last year, Zooming with all these business owners or restaurant owners that needed help. And all I did was promote. I used to run the covenant play. I used to ask for ask for that to be a part of it. And I just said, you know what, I'm just going to be a giver and a promoter of them. And at the end of last year, when we needed, and Jess has lots of stories of this happening for her. And when we put together a 12 days of giveaways, I reached out to the 50 business owners in Tulsa, Oklahoma that I had done a video with them to promote. And I asked if they would make a donation of any kind to our giveaway. And they all said yes. There wasn't a question in their mind. So I know Jess is nodding. You got some good stuff on this too, Jess.
Yeah, the biggest thing for us was in December. My heart was a little sad in November thinking about Christmas coming up. And I looked at my husband and I said, we just need to bring joy for Christmas. The entire month, if somebody asks us, we're going to bring joy and we're going to give back. And so all we did was as much charity work as we possibly could do. We've not been able to do additional events because we still have so much stuff coming in, and we didn't have the manpower we needed because I didn't realize it would be that big. So, collecting for the village for families and children, we decided to dress up like Mr. and Mrs. Claus and go around. And it sounds silly, but one of our clients' events was we made everybody register on a Google form. And this was simple and it was free. Somebody gave him a Santa outfit. He was pissed. I made him do it. It was fine. And I was thrilled. And so we literally dressed up and they had to fill out this Google form, nominate a family that needed a meal, nominate a family that needed presents, jackets, clothing, whatever. And then we would also come to their house. And if they felt the need, they could leave a bag outside and we collect it for the food pantry. But we showed up with our photographer. Everybody got a bell, like they get the bells on the Polar Express. And we took physically distanced pictures with their kids that wouldn't normally be able to go see Santa. And then we sent them an ornament with their pictures of their kids in it afterwards as a thank you, because we were so grateful. We donated so much food to the food pantry. Well, then because I also shared this stupid Facebook video that cost me nothing. So we overthink what things are going to cost us. It cost me nothing. My dress came from Amazon with points. It was nothing. And it was everything at the same time because I posted it in a Simsbury Neighbors Helping Neighbors group. All the mamas lined up and I said, look, you can donate. This organization will also collect clothes. I realized what a big need there was in our community and in surrounding communities for clothing, for food, for toiletries, all sorts of stuff. So I said, for the entire month, we'll collect stuff. You can use my house as a drop off. And we set up stuff so it could be physically distanced. We loaded 5 carloads full to donate. We took a family who got nominated of needing presents. My clients actually ended up buying all the presents. We got all the food. I found out that they didn't have, stuff to cook in to make their dinner. They didn't even have a bed. They didn't have furniture. They didn't have clothing. So we furnished their entire apartment. We gave them all their presents, and the good that our hearts felt was amazing. But we did this because it just kept spiraling. Then people asked us to sit for Toys and Tots and take a picture, and we did. And it was just all this charity work, not to get anything back.
Yeah.
Just to feel good and bring joy because my heart needed it.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. I love the giver's gain. I mean, that's what we should all, what's the Go Giver is the other book that relates to that as well. And it's just so important. And we know, and I know we're going to wrap up here shortly. And it's just about loving on our people in different ways, in the ways that they want to receive it, and giving them lots of options and opportunities to raise their hand, to connect. And some just don't, because that's not their style, and that's okay too. So it's
But
just,
even if they don't, Jenny, they watch and they're proud
yes,
of
they
you,
do.
and they want to work with people they like and know. And sometimes we overthink it when we're asking, what would you want your realtor to do? I can tell you the number one thing they'd
Be
want
there.
anyone to do, and it's just to care. Show
Yeah.
them love, care about them. If you learn to care about other people more than yourself, you won't have to worry about any of it.
Well, that's why we really want to get, like, anyone watching ever, anyone that ever watches, you'll always hear us talking about, you have to start small to go big. And
Yep.
so start with your favorite people, your cheerleaders, your raving fans, and know who they are so you can love on them the most. And then they're going to love on you by sharing more referrals, et cetera, with you back. The number one thing I want to point out is from MREA, the original MREA was 12-2 ratio on your database. So a lot of times we get confused. We're going to get to the new year. We're going to go, what number, how many families should I put as my goal? And for me, it's just the number of Mets, true Mets in our database times 10%. So if you guys are lost on what that number should be, focus on growing your Mets. It's on my 411 that every week on Sunday, I go and I look at how many Mets are in our database, because we want to continue to grow that. Right, guys?
Absolutely.
I think it's Go Giver, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, go get it.
Giver.
Yeah. Josh is going to find it on his bookshelf. Let's see.
There's also give and take.
Yeah.
So another recommendation would be just you've got to get feedback, right? So the way I get feedback's reviews, but also we've added now, after closing, on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, how would you say we delivered the promise to you? What would you rate us, right? So when they say a 4, or if they say a 5, whatever they say, right? That is how you get better, right?
Yes.
Feedback is for champions. And that's what I'm most excited about our client coordinator, because to be honest, we've been inconsistent doing that. And now that's part of her job, is to find that out. And is that not good as a business owner? If you have a big team, like if someone's like, yeah, so-and-so kind of fell short there. And
Tony, every time I call, I'm the one that makes that call, and I always get a 9 or 10, 8, 9 or 10. And you taught me, I learned this from you. Then you can say, how could we have made it a 10? Well, recently I got I wasn't expecting your call, and I don't know that I'm really ready to share with you. It was bad. And she said, so she started just rambling about the experience and why it was so bad. It was terrible. And we took ownership of it. And I found out all the information, and I reached back out to her to make it right and do all the things that we can do. And you just got to own it. You can't win them all.
That reminds me, I had a buyer's agent on my
Mhm.
team who did not connect with somebody. They were just like polar opposites, same thing. And when it came time, and she's no longer on my team, by the way, but when it came time to go and say like, hey, we're going to do our closing gift. What do you want on the cutting board that we send for the first time? She goes, send them a Dunkin' Donuts gift card. I was like, no, we're going to send our standard no matter what. And then I decided, because of that reaction, to call the client and ask the same thing you did. That client didn't want to work with her ever again. That client chose to still stay with us because the showing assistant we had at the time was wonderful. That agent wasn't, and she connected with me. That client has now listed, sold, bought, referred her mom, referred 2 sisters, because we wanted to make sure we made it right.
so yeah, feedback, right? And Jenny, the only thing I would say 1 to 5, because you'll get an 8 or 9 sometimes, and you're like, well, why isn't it a 10? And they're like, I don't give 10s, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
if you say 1 to 5, you're programming them for a 5-star review as well, right? But that feedback is awesome. I checked in on a referral today, and I texted him and I said, hey, I just wanted to check in. Thanks for sending your aunt. She's under contract. She's buying. He calls me, and I'm like, I wonder what he needs, right? And he's like, I just want to say thank you, Chris Jossie on your team talked my aunt out of buying this house because he felt it was way overpriced and it would never appraise. And she has the money to do it, to pay the difference. But I couldn't believe he cared that much. And I'm like, that is so cool, right? So if I'm not asking for feedback, you don't get the positive stuff either, right? So
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you think? I need to get Chris a gift, right? I need to send him something and say, hey man, so I sent him $100 gift card today.
And then celebrating when your agents have done a good job, celebrating that inside of your
Yes.
communication, like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I just talked to this client and they said that Nate did a great job. Good job. Way to go.
Yeah.
Are you doing
Celebrating.
like Tony does the captain, we do the rock star of the month, like, fun rewards to treat your team too?
Yeah, I mean, we've been working hard, guys. I just went around and gave a lot of my team our massage gift cards. Like, they are working their tails off, and it goes so far. It goes so far, and we are all working hard. It's not like any of us are sitting around, but that acknowledgement is huge. And sometimes I don't know if you can even do enough because it's just it's such a hard business,
I want to add that Josh and I got to learn from Keith Cunningham last year, and he called it surprise money.
Yeah.
So like whenever you give them some cash money, there's nothing attached to it. It's just thank you. And I came back after being there and gave some away. And I'll tell you what, it made the day of the people.
He also doesn't give raises and stuff. He literally just says, I might come in and give an $8,000 bonus one day because I'm in a good mood and they've been kicking ass, and they might get that once a year. They might get it 3 times a year, and it might be whatever amount that I feel like giving them. It might be, I think he said he came in like one day and gave her like a $4,000 worth of $100 bills. And she was like, just like, holy
That's
crap.
cool, though.
I
$4 grand.
love that stuff. That's my favorite kind of, I hate doing like, oh, it's the annual bonus. Let's do
I
this.
know.
Like, nope, here's a lump sum. This is what I like.
Woo! Well,
But that's
One of
how
my-
you keep people that want to hang out with you longer and
Who
see
doesn't
value
like
of being in your world.
Cash.
Well, one of my favorites I've implemented recently is kids' birthdays on our team. I love Apple Pay. Like, it's so simple, right?
I know you've tried to get
Send
me
We
them-
love $2 bills also.
That too, but
$2 bills. I'm all in on that.
Apple Pay, $20 per kid for their birthday, and say, hey, go have ice cream on me. And that is probably the most powerful thing you can do for your team members. Sometimes they may not care about themselves, but you buy something for their kids, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. So we're doing that, and I've been doing that for a couple years, or about a year now, since the pandemic, and it's been
I
fun.
love that.
Is that part of your
To me.
Is that part of your onboarding process for new team members, is getting all like VIP data for them, their kids?
We have really kind of been sneaky about it, where most people will post, when it's their kid's birthday. It's not as formal as I'd like it, but we need to add it to that sheet,
Yeah.
essentially our Google sheet that has anniversary dates. We also track, Lewis on our team tracks all anniversaries and all birthdays. And we do something to acknowledge both every year for each person. So they're getting two touches a year. So the last thing I'd say is, the reason I'm talking about this, do not think your team members aren't just as important, if not more important, right, than any possible client, right? And they need to know the love too.
You know what, on your intake form, just like you do with the client, on your intake form, when you have a team member, they can do all that stuff. So sometimes at our annual review, what we'll do at our advance is we'll give everybody an intake form just to update in case they no longer like chocolate ice cream. We want to know what their favorite dessert is and their favorite flower and all those things, so that when we give them stuff, it's important to me to know that, like, okay, well, I'm going to send Tony a fish restaurant gift certificate because he likes grouper, right? And I'm going to do, so the little
I do.
details matter.
Yes, I do like grouper. Yes.
Well, our time is already up, and I am so happy that I got to see you guys.
Good to see y'all.
When are we? Oh, Tim, you moved. Oh, so you got a little chat in there, Timmy. Somebody.
No.
Hi. So you guys now.
I think we should do this the week after.
Yeah, we should get back
After our
together.
house.
Let's do that.
Recap.
If it's a happy hour and we're not allowed to drink, I don't understand why it's called happy hour.
Well, I'm gonna now go get a
Cheers,
happy
Jess.
hour. So I'll
Thank
tell
you.
Cheers,
Cheers, Tony.
it's 5
I'm going
o'clock in Tulsa.
to drink my water.
Listen,
All right. See you
gotta
guys.
try
I
this, you
appreciate
guys.
you guys. Those that are watching, just let us know if you need.
Edna's
anything.
drinking with us, just so you guys know.
Thank you, Edna.
Yeah, Edna.
She's
We
an
love you, Edna.
Oklahoma girl. So
All
right.
Jenny,
Bye,
where am I
kids.
going to find this link?
what link?
The link to this.
Oh,
You're
you're
Jenny
turning with Jenny. The page. I'll send you. I'll tag you, but you'll decline it.
I'll
Whatever.
find it. Bye.
All right. See you
Yeah,
guys.
here.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jenny, for setting this up. You may get an Apple Pay.
Oh, oh.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.